Hey, there's not anybody on here now. It's really just doing it live. And if anybody comes in, maybe I can read some of the comments. But it's mostly just wanting to find out more input from knife makers about the AEB L. It's a new fad. It's what a lot of people are out. And they're getting these 64 and 65, you know, hardness, and the edge retention is pretty good. So I've been trying it and I've been doing it, and I'm finding though that it's not so much how long the edge will last. And this is for me. I mean, there's 1,000 different people out there that's going to have different opinions with it. But for me, an outdoors knife should be able to be easily sharpened. And I'm finding that at 64 and 65, once you dull it, and that's what I have done with some of these. I beat and I banged. I've even drug it across copper. Done everything that you could to see about getting that edge back. And without a little bit of time, not a lot, but a little bit, it's hard to get that back, that edge to, I mean, it's still sharp um, just by using the little sharpening stone that I had there. But I mean, there's dull spots in it. And I'm just wondering, is that something that it's been around for a long time? This metal is not something new. It's just something new that we're really getting into as the knife makers are kind of pushing around with it. Me personally, I started out with, everybody knows, started out with 1095. I've ended up doing 01 now, and I'm becoming very partial to it. A lot of people, they're asking for these to be made in 01 from a bushcraft knife that I make. Um, they like the 01. I'm not really sure why. I mean, we all have our preferences of what it is that we like, but we we're trying, or I'm trying, the AEB L, and I done the freezing, got it down to negative 132 or 134, I think is what it was. So that part of it was accurate enough, but I tried some different methods, and I was wondering maybe if some knife makers will comment in this here that has done it. But I'm finding I can get 59 to 61 by just air quenching it and letting it cool down and doing it at 350, I think was the formula for that one, for 2 cycles at 2 hours apiece. I can get it between 61 and 62 by just throwing it in the top of the freezer. And I'm just wondering if those extra, and people that do a lot of work with knives and stuff, I'm asking for your opinion also as well with this. Is it really something you're looking for, is to have that 65 hardness? Or is it something that you would be more along the lines of being able to offset that, excuse me, that 65 for a 60, 61, 62, and make it more manageable to be able to actually sharpen that knife in the field when you need it to, if it's got down? Because I know the edge retention is a lot longer. I mean, it's a harder piece of steel. It holds a much better edge and everything like that. But I'm just wondering, is curious to see, and I'm not going to drag this video into a long, lengthy live video. It's really just a quick way of doing it so it'll go out live to get some feedback on it. But and 90% of the time I'm on the phone when I'm out here in the shop and loading up the computer over there. It just takes too much time to do it. But that was the question for knife makers and people that buy it. Is 65 hardness really what you're looking for? Or are you looking for something that you can manageably sharpen it back whenever you get out into the field without having to really spend hours and hours trying to get it back in case you have accidentally crammed it into something, jammed it up, really messed the edge up? I don't know what you would do to do it, because it does last a long time. I mean, to get that blade dull took 30 minutes of what I do not normally like to even do. But how can I know how well it'll hold unless I test it and try it. And that's what I did. I tried it and I tested it. Um, I filmed a lot of it and I may send that out. It was just a quick, other than the heat treating time, it took me about, well, it took me about 45 minutes to actually make the knife. The rest of it was just in heat treating. Um, it doesn't take a long time to make them. It's the process of getting each one of those things to it. But another quick thing is you'll soon see with the bushcraft knife that I make. You'll see the name popping up on it later on. I agree with you, Tim. 58 to 60 is about all me personally. But you know what? If I make every knife for what I want, I'd have a whole room full of knives and nobody would buy them. And I want to be able to give everybody something that they're looking for. But with that bushcraft knife style that I've been doing now, and it's been going on the second year with it, and I've really never pushed a lot of it, and I've just kept critiquing it, trying to get it down to where I felt that it would do everything that you would need to do while out there. I have that same similar style. People that are skinning mooses with it, they're using it to process game, and we're talking about a 4 3/4 inch blade that's 1.5 inches wide. It's actually 1.25 inches once I get down to it, that they're doing all of this with. So we have those that like larger knives, we have those that like smaller knives, we like those that like pocket knives, me. But you'll start seeing that particular style knife being sold at a lot of different places. They're all still handmade by me. They're all ground 100% right here in the shop. But I recently had a gentleman put in an order for 100 of them that he's going to be selling them in a pretty large company, very large in this area around here. So you'll probably see those. They will have a little bit different logo on them. I'm changing that logo up a little bit. I'm still going to keep that for the ones that I personally make for all of my friends and subscribers in YouTube, but there will be a different logo. And if you choose to purchase one of them later and you want the one logo on one side and the other logo on the other side, it's just one tap and you can get that as well. But that's something that you guys can be looking up for. I'm reading your comment there. Yeah. And this one right here is done by getting you the 65. And me personally, I'm not knocking anybody that wants that edge retention and that hardness out there, but me personally, that is just entirely too hard to get the profile back, to get that edge back on there once you have lost it. And I'm going to use a term loosely when I say common man, because it's a term that I really like. But your average person wants to enjoy their trip and know that they have a cutting instrument that will cut, and if they need to put an edge back on it, they don't want to spend their whole camping trip in the woods trying to get an edge back to make feather sticks and things of that nature. But that's just my personal opinion, and it's not saying that's an etched in stone, that that's the gospel, because that's not what it is. It's just me personally. But I do think that it does have a place. And for me, game processing, 65 would be sweet. It's going to last for a long time. And you'll get your game processed, you'll get it done, and you can come home and relax and put that sharpness back on it. In the field, being there for days and weeks, losing that edge, as you said, it's a nightmare to get it back. But for right now, the production run that is actually going out the door for all of those knives, and that's what I'll be doing in here tonight after working a regular normal shift. things are going to change with that. Anybody that watches this here, it's in God's hands. We'll just put it that way. But we may be doing this full time. A mountain view turning. I think I got that. I got to put these specs on, but you just disappeared on me as soon as you did that. But if that's where he chooses for me to be at, then that's where I'll be at. We'll be doing this full time, and actually, I have scripts that I have written for my YouTube. And when I say scripts, I don't mean that I'll stand out there and read them. SD Mountain Man. Hey everybody. But they're putting these things in order, because when I go out to make a video, I want to enjoy the time that I'm out there as well, and I also want to give you the best experience that you can have when you're watching it, and it's hard to do when you're winging it. That's a term that Alan Hobbs and I have used for many years. You know, we would wing the show that we would have there, you know, and he and I, we've talked a little bit briefly here recently about maybe bringing that back, maybe bringing back, you know, a couple of camping trips with he and I. But that's down the road. But back to the knives and things like that. Give me your feedback. It's been something other for about 7 years. And I'm not pulling my own chain or trying to boast, but you guys have never even seen a tenth of what I can actually do out there. But when you only have like a day that you can go out and spend overnight, and you're trying to cram a lot of videos and stuff into it, you don't really enjoy it, and you don't really get that opportunity to go out there and give you guys a good experience when it comes back. But being able to put 40 hours a week into that, Ohio metal detecting, thank you. I mean, that's the success part. I really like the luck. I need a lot of that. But that's one of the things that, you know, it's been a passion of mine for quite some time. And, you know, we'll see where it goes, you know, and if that's where it goes, I'm at an age now to where I still have the physical ability, and the financial side is coming into place to where we can try this. But that's a different story. But, you know, with the knives and things like that, keep an eye out for that. I don't really post a lot. I've had a couple of people recently ask about selling them through their shop, and yes and no. I've not locked into a contract with these other two large companies, but a certain price range that they're asking me to sell at, so that I don't interfere with their marketing and what they're actually locked into. What do you say, Derek? That's Old Red Life. I hadn't seen that name in a while. But it's something other that the business side of it is not selling them below a certain price so that they can continue, you know, to be able to push and market them. And I've spoken with another gentleman to understand William Collins a little bit, and I know a lot of you guys know him. I start to see where he's at, and not there that seeing, but I understand a solo person cannot, you know, putting out 100 knives. If I do 10 a day on the weekend, that's 20. So that's 4 weekends, unless I want to work an extra 20 hours a week through the night after work, and that really brings a toll on the family life and stuff. But I have gotten, and I'm going to be using another gentleman for knife sheaths, letting him create those. And I had mentioned in another video not too long ago about I will make molds, and I have molds and templates already for blades, but I never really thought about the handles. You know, I just grip it and make it comfortable. So when I get that comfortable and let a few people do the testing that I'm worked on, and a big response on the testing, I appreciate all of you guys offering to do some testing for me. I have 4 out that are doing the testing. They're probably not going to be YouTube videos. but these are people that really know how to test a knife in the field, not trying to beat one to death. My 10-year-old son can show you how to do that, but showing and giving me the feedback, letting me know if it's too long, if it's too short, if it's too narrow, if it needs a Scandi, if it needs the double bevel that I'm putting on it, or if it needs a saber, or whatever it needs to fit theirs. And they're 4 different backgrounds, and I chose these wisely, um, with different backgrounds. 2 of them are actually in Europe. Um, you know one of them very well. Um, I'm sure all of you have watched his channel, and he says that he's tested it, and he said, I'll make a video for you if you choose to. And I said, that's up to him. So, if you see that, then you'll see it. But it's been a long journey and a lot of trial and error for me. And I'm kind of, jumping around on this here, but um, each and every person that has watched all the videos, each and every person that has purchased a knife from me, asked me to build them one, there in the beginning, if you wanted a knife, I'd make you one. That was the fun for it for me. Um, to give back, to the people that was giving to me during that time. And I think one of the biggest things that changed for me about a year and a half ago was when I decided either you're going to get a logo and make knives, or you're just going to stay as a happy knife maker. And to offset the income, because I know anybody that makes knives, um, and I semi see where a lot of the pricing and why it's there. I'm more of a send out more, and the more that are sold, the more advertisement you have, and that's a cheaper form of advertisement, especially if the knife is of quality and good. The word will get out that way. The pricing, I have stayed pretty comfortable even selling them at a retail so that they can keep it at that price range as well. Um, Now, some of the sheaths that may be being made will raise that price up, but the quality of sheath that you're going to be getting and the functionality of that sheath to incorporate into your bushcrafting will be well worth the extra. It'll give you that boost of confidence that sometimes we lack when we get there. But get a drink. It's a free advertisement if they call that. But I'm not sponsored by them by no means, and really don't like their food that well anymore. But anyway, that's a different story. But that pricing that I'm trying to stay, um, and a lot of it can change from metals too. And I have found that metal seems to be rising in price. I'm guilty of it. When I first started doing this here, it wasn't nothing for me to drop 35, 40 bucks on 36 inches of steel and mess it up. And order another 36 inches and mess it up. And eventually it got to the point to where there's a lot of people making knives now, and it's a catchy thing. And if you've never made one, once you do, oh, it's a feeling it's an accomplishment. It truly is. And to sell one of them that someone loves and gives you that feedback, um, it is rising. What is rising? I didn't catch that. Anyway, maybe you'll send it back. I can only catch a little bit on this phone here, so don't think I'm ignoring anybody's comments if they come across, and I'll come back and redo any of them that I can if it goes after it goes live or goes to the video itself. Yes, very much. It is rising very high, and for good quality metal. Now, 1095 is a good quality metal. Yes. To me, I mean, And I have to be very careful about saying this because there's a lot of people that like it and a lot of people that dislike it. 1095 is not an easy metal to work. It's an easy metal to learn with, but not get it perfected correctly, to heat treat it, to get the temperature that it should be, you know, because a lot of you guys know. Yes, it will, Tim. But whenever I about lost my train of thought there, 1095, when I first started, that was my go-to metal. And 3 out of 5, super great. You know, you heated it up, to, you know, and that was what a lot of the misconceptions were. You would heat this metal up to, like, boom, you got that nice glow, and you know it's there, and you stick the magnet to it, and she doesn't stick to it anymore, and you're like, ah, forged in fire. You drag this sucker back out, slap it in the oven there for, you know, 400 degrees, and polished it all up and cleaned it all up, and then you take it out to the woods, and it either performed excellent, or you were like, wow, maybe it was bad metal, and it's not. I mean, there's 1095 really has to be done properly to get you that good result, which is why I think a lot of times a lot of people, the rust part of it, you know, it's going to rust a lot quicker. The patina is going to be a lot stronger on it real quick. And I think that's one of the things why people stay away from 1095. The 01 tool steel, I go with precision ground when I purchase them. Here's one here that I'll be working on tonight, and I'm going to give you a little quick peek if I can get it open, and why I choose to go with the precision ground. This thing they really pack these in when they do it. While we're on the subject of something, while I'm trying to get this off here or get it open, but I want to show you the actual metal and why I go with it to be. And a lot of you guys will thank me later when you purchase these knives, and why I go ahead, and it's about $10 extra. Get this all. They really truly pack this thing to withstand any punishment. You know, with the AEB L, when I first got it, that stuff works it works up easy. And the people, they say, you know, that it's a lot of extra work and things like that, and it's not. But I'm going to give you a peek here. Notice it's already, I mean, it's been run and flattened out. It's been sanded down. There's no pits. There's no extra roughness. So when you get that, it comes out like it's supposed to be without a lot of extra sanding. Sandpaper and knife making is probably your biggest expense. I hope you guys can see that. I use combat abrasives. I've done Norton. I like Norton, but I have went to combat ones. I get a little bit of a discount, a tremendous little bit of a discount with them by using them now. But the blades, when you're putting that initial profile and everything on it, I get about 4 blanks out of 136. Well, about 3 really. You can push it to 4, but after a while, then you start heating the metal up, and then you just really lose. But on 36 grit, I can get 3 good knives. That's the profile, that's the bevels, you know, the initial cuts and bevels out of it. Well, those are about $10 a piece. I get them for about $7.42, I think is what it is now. But that, and then you drop into, you know, you hit your 120, and then you start moving them up a little bit if you want to put a little more of a satin finish to it. You can have just in the blades, or I have found just in getting it ready, out of 3 knives, you can have 45 bucks tied up to $50 just in sandpaper on the grinder or the belt sander, you know, that quick. So, you know, that's something other that, you know, when you're figuring them all up, and I had to sit down and break all of my material costs down into a knife to see where my profit actually was. And that was something that I knew how to do, and I've done it for years, but it was in the beginning stages. It wasn't an expense, it was a hobby. And you don't put a price on a hobby as in how much it costed you to do it, because that just takes the fun out. It's like if you're a knife enthusiast, you don't figure up in a year's time how many knives you're going to buy and how much it's going to cost you and say, oh, well, I'm not making any money off of this. You buy it because you enjoy it. In the beginning stages, that's where it was for me. I bought sandpaper, you know, I bought belts, I bought everything that I needed. So that was kind of like where it was at. But I don't want to drag this out into a tremendous amount of time on there. But oh yes, it is. It's very, I mean, it's a very expensive part of the metal working part of it. But anyway, the AEB L, give me your comments and what you actually believe. If you're a knife maker, put that you make knives and why you choose to use AEB L and why you want the 65 for the edge retention on. I'm mostly looking for outdoor type knives, not really for knives that you would use in the kitchen. Um, Although I think that's a very good one. That's my opinion. Now, I'm not basing that off of anything other than what I personally like. But if you could just get around there and check it out, see what you think. Give me your comments. Give me your feedback on it. Tell me I'm nuts. Tell me I'm not nuts. Whatever, you know. I mean, it's a learning process, and I'm not going to learn unless I get the feedback from it. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys that have watched with me here, been through this journey with me. Start looking for a lot of things that are going to change. Be on the lookout for those knives. You'll actually see them. You'll see a very large, I mean, when you're purchasing 100, they're putting an investment into this. So I'm sure they're going to put the advertisement with it, which I've seen some of the advertisement. So I'll catch you guys on another video. Hope I didn't drag this out too long and ramble too much, which I can do that very often. So you guys have a good one, and I'll catch you guys on another video.